41 states considered more than 140 ballot measures on Election Day, and from crime to abortion to ranked choice voting. Our panel is back with a look at some of the results. So, Alicia, take us to California first, where it looks like that progressive state turned in some conservative results.
Yeah, there was a little bit of a red wave. For instance, Prop 36 passed overwhelmingly. Now, this was an initiative that would roll back parts of this Prop 47 that decriminalized essentially shoplifting and drug possession. So Prop 36 will stiffen the penalties and allow actually law enforcement to utilize their powers to force people into treatment. Very important. Now, also what passed overwhelmingly was rejected overwhelmingly was an initiative that would have expanded rent control. So even San Francisco rejected this initiative. Also, voters rejected an increase in the minimum wage to $18.
Wow.
Wow. Well, it's wild. That's already $15, right?
Right, but that's $18 for California. Rejecting that is enormous.
Right, and I think it has partly to do with the effects that they're already seeing from the $20 minimum wage for fast food workers, which is resulting in layoffs and increasing prices. So, economic sanity is starting to actually seep into California.
All right, Kim, you've been following ranked choice voting. Why don't you tell us, that was on the ballot in several states. What happened?
Yeah, so this is this goofy voting system that it's incredibly complex and complicated and costly. And what we're finding is that in the places it's been used, it doesn't reduce partisanship, it's stated gain. That message has clearly gotten out to voters across the country. A lot of billionaires tried to get it on the ballot in more than half a dozen states this time around, following what they did in Alaska. And voters everywhere rejected it, from blue states like Oregon to purple states like Nevada and Arizona to red states like Montana and Idaho. And there's even a strong possibility Alaska, which put it back on its ballot right now, that looks to be leading in the polls, that they are rejecting it. So a strong condemnation. Americans want straightforward elections.
So that would be a repeal of the current ranked choice voting system in Alaska.
Correct.
Yeah, okay.
They got it back on the ballot, yes, and it looks like that is winning right now, the repeal.
All right, okay. So Kyle, and you were following the abortion referendums in many states. What happened there?
Ballot measures to expand or guarantee abortion access in 10 states. 7 of those have passed, including states that looked pretty red on Tuesday: Montana, Arizona, Nevada. One of the states where it failed was Florida, but there the bar to amend the state constitution is 60%, and the measure got majority support, something like 57%.
Right.
So part of what's notable here is the split ticket voting, a constitutional amendment in Florida to go codify and go beyond Roe v. Wade. Opponents argued got about 57% of the vote in a state that re-elected Donald Trump with 56, re-elected Senator Rick Scott with 56% of the vote.
It's interesting because it suggests that people wanted to vote for abortion access for at least part of pregnancy, significant part of pregnancy, but it didn't determine their vote for these other candidates. So maybe there are fewer one-issue voters than people think.
Right, and the pro-life side, I think, is going to have to do some regrouping here. You can add these to Ohio and Michigan, other states where abortion referendums have passed in recent years. But you can also sense a sort of settling of the issue a couple years after the overturning of Roe v. Wade and the Dobbs decision. People have a pretty good sense of what the abortion laws in their states are going to look like.
And Alicia, a couple of other cats and dogs here in Berkeley, California, and Washington State. Gas stoves get a reprieve.
Right, so Berkeley voters, the People's Republic of Berkeley, as it's called, actually rejected an initiative that would have imposed a tax on gas consumption, and it was an indirect way of discouraging people from using or buying gas stoves. And also in Washington State, people also rejected or approved an initiative that would have banned localities from restricting their ability to buy gas stoves.
Interesting, and there was one in Oregon too, right?
Right, and so amazingly, Oregon of all places, they also rejected a referendum that would have increased or imposed a gross receipts tax to provide a $1,600 guaranteed income for every person.
That's amazing, because when you think about it, tax the corporations and write me a check, and the voters said no.
Well,
That's encouraging.
Right. I think the voters are smarter than the politicians is the lesson.
All right, thank you all. We have to take one more break. When we come back, hits and misses of the week. Time now for our hits and misses of the week. Kim, first to you.
My miss coming broadly out of this election goes to Special Counsel Jack Smith, who last year filed 2 sweeping indictments against Donald Trump in an effort that initially looked like aimed at disqualifying Trump from even becoming president, and then as they dragged on later looked like an tank his candidacy with a lot of filings saying nasty things about the president. The American people rejected this on Tuesday by pulling the lever for Donald Trump. And the lesson for DOJ, get out of the election interference game. All it does is undermine your own reputation.
Bill.
Paul, a big hit for Shelley Luther. We wrote about her in 2020 when she defied a COVID lockdown to reopen her beauty salon for employees and customers. She spent 7 days in jail for that until Governor Abbott intervened. Well, election day, she got her revenge. She's now the congresswoman from Texas's 62nd district.
Wow, that's amazing. The radicalization of COVID. Alicia.
This is a hit to Texas Governor Greg Abbott, who this week secured a majority in his state house to support school choice. He campaigned and defeated several Republicans who had opposed him in the party primaries, and the school choice campaign champions went on to win this week. So congratulations to all the families who will now have more options.
Well, that's 5 million kids too. That's a lot of children. Kyle.
I will give a miss to all the states that are still counting ballots and will keep at it for a while. In Nevada, if your mail ballot is postmarked by Election Day, the mailman can bring it to officials on Saturday and it's still valid. In California, the deadline for that is next Tuesday. And get this, if your signature is challenged and your ballot is rejected, you can fix that until early December. As of Friday morning, San Diego County said it had about 500,000 ballots yet to process. This is no way to run a railroad. We're lucky that it wasn't a closer election this year, but let's try to get this fixed before 2026 and 2028.
Yeah, I mean, it's not going to stretch to January 20th, is it? No.
Let's hope not.
All right. And remember, if you have your own hit or miss, be sure to send it to us at JER on FNC. That's it for this week's show. Thanks to my panel.